You ever wonder how some churches are able to actually get guest contact information? I mean, name, phone number, email? Well, we sure have. And in today's Church Tips podcast, we're going to talk to you specifically on how you go about getting that information. So here we go. Now, I'm going to tell you a story of a church that I've been very familiar with for a lot of years, but it's a story of a lot of churches, frankly. I remember this one Sunday, I don't know that it was an Easter, but it was a big Sunday, and they had a crowd. You've been there on days like that. You had a crowd, and the pastor is all excited, and he comes back and said, "Did you see that crowd? Oh my goodness, the guests, the first-timers all over the place. Hey, where's our guest cards?" And they get the guest cards, and there's 2 guest cards. He goes, Wait, there had to be 25 guests. What happened here? That happens every Sunday of life, where you've got all these guests, and you want their contact information, but they don't give it to you. And today in this episode, we're going to talk with Nathan Teagarden about that particular subject of how to get guests to give you their contact information. Nathan's been a great friend for a lot of years. In fact, I knew him when he was a snot-nosed college kid. And
still might be.
Still might be a little bit. But he serves as the, what's your official title there?
So I'm the North Campus Pastor and Connections Director.
Okay, North Campus Pastor and Connections Director at Summit Park Church in Lee Summit, Kansas City area, Missouri. And he's doing a great job there. And so really he eats, sleeps, and breathes this issue of connections. And so we want to talk with Nathan about the things that he would do, and you do Sunday after Sunday, helping get guest contact information. So, I mean, in a world where privacy is a big deal and the whole thing, where do you start with this?
Yeah, absolutely. One, it's so important, just from the story that you just shared. It's so critical, and we're always trying to think of how we can do this. And one of the things where I want to always start is I want to make it simple for guests to fill out their contact information. So, they don't want to use a lot of mental calories because a lot of other things are on their mind. If they got kids, they're thinking about that. Everything's new to them. They're processing the service. Maybe for a lot of them, they don't want to be there. Maybe they got invited. Okay, fine, I'll come
do this,
because someone. But we want to make it as simple for them as possible. Just make it really, really easy. So we try to think through that whole process. Okay, how many steps are involved with filling out this card, whether physical or digital? Is it cumbersome? Is it difficult to understand what we're asking them to do? We want that to be very streamlined and super, super simple.
Well, talk to us a little bit. You mentioned digital. So when you're actually up there on Sunday, I mean, I've been at Summit Park when you've done that. How do you weave in the digital piece as opposed to the write it down? I mean, do you still have the write it down?
No, we've gone all digital.
All digital. Okay, so talk about
so
that.
We pretty much know that everybody's going to have a cell phone.
Right.
And so we just use a service that allows them to text a word to our number. And so we have them text the word new, but we could set it as whatever. That's our keyword. So they'll just text that word, NEW, to the number that we put up on the screen, and then it feeds back to them. It immediately responds with a link that they click on, and then that is the card that they fill out, the digital card.
Okay, good. Okay, so why should they do this?
So I think you've got to motivate people, right? As this is really important that we want to have a conversation with you. I think that's important as I frame up and begin to talk about why they should text that word new. I want to motivate them. So there's several things that I'm doing.
So it's got to be compelling.
Absolutely. That is a part of what you're communicating. It's got to be hey, we want to have a conversation with you. We want to meet you. We're interested in you. And so that's really important as a part of it. And also, we do something to where we offer them a gift. We offer them something as a part of motivation to fill it out. So.
That's good. What's the next thing you do?
So we want to give them an opportunity more than once to fill it out. So we have visitor hosts as a part of our hospitality team, and their role and their job is to find those that are new, that are guests as a part of the service. And one of their roles, besides just making them feel like $1 million and showing them around and answering any questions they might have, is to get their contact information. So what we do is we equip our visitor host with that digital card. So they're able to pull it up on their own phone and fill it it out for the guest.
Okay.
So as they're having conversation with them, they're actually able to do it on their behalf, and then we've got their contact
And the guest is good with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you just think about, my wife loves TJ Maxx, and they always ask for your information when you're checking out, and it just seems natural in the conversation.
Because that's the way the world is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
People are used to giving that contact information, and if there's any hesitation, the visitor hosts are trained to know, no, we want to, no problem at all. But we want to help you. We want to answer any questions. I also want to give you a free gift. So, hey, what's your, I've got your name already. What's your contact information?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
It feels like when I'm at Summit Park, it just feels like it's part of the culture.
Yeah.
I mean, can you talk to me a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we talk to our visitor hosts, obviously our staff, all of our volunteers. Like we want to move people down the connections track. Like we want to help them get connected. And we see this contact information as the linchpin in all of this. This is like the thing that we've got to get, or else how are we going to follow up with these people?
Exactly.
And so we want, as a part of our culture, like, hey, we need to move them to, hey, have you filled out an info card? We call it an info card.
Yeah.
And like, have you done that? And if we can get their contact information, man, that opens the door for everything else and following up with them.
Yeah, that is so good. Hey, this has really been helpful. Any parting shots that you want our viewers to tag into?
Yeah. I think if you just focus on making it simple, making the process simple, and then getting your team on board, those two things. So really look at your system and process for what you're asking the guests to do, and make sure that it's foolproof. Like, you just want to make sure it's solid, and then getting everybody on board and they're familiar with the process. Those two things will really be the key to getting people's contact.
Well, another thing we talked about before we started shooting the video was, I've heard you guys say, we have a no stalking policy.
Yeah.
That you make them feel very, very safe in giving their information.
Yeah, absolutely. Because some people can be leery of that. Yeah. They're like, they get all the phone calls and they're like, okay, are you going to call me or whatever? We just want to put people at ease. Yeah. So if they express hesitation, they don't want to, no worries. Totally cool. Can we just get your email? We can back it off a little bit, and that's totally fine. But we do like to say to people, like, hey, we just want to send you a gift. And that's true. We just want to send you this gift. This is something from us to you. And people are usually very cool with it.
Yeah. I loved we didn't talk about this ahead of time, so I hope I don't get in trouble. But, one time Ryan Wakefield and I were talking about, back in the day when you first lay eyes on that potential girl that's going to be your wife, eventually you go up and chit chat with her. Well, if you walk away from that conversation and don't do one important thing, you're toast. And that is, you've got to get her contact information.
Yep.
Why? Because you want a relationship.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what the church wants. That's what I appreciate about Summit Park. You want a relationship with these guests. And so it just makes all the sense in the world. Anyway, you kind of got going here.
Yeah, that's really
Nathan, thank you very much. Let me just go through the points here. Nathan talked about making it simple. Make it digital, make it compelling, and make the opportunity more than once, and to make it part of the church's culture. Yeah. We just really appreciated you being here with us today. Thank you, Nathan, for taking time out of your schedule to join us. We'd certainly love to have you subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to them, and rate and review the podcast. We have a review here from a person who said, great content for pastors. I'm so impressed with the practical content this podcast offers. If you want your church to grow, I'd tag on with church tips. So thank you very much for that kind endorsement. And we're going to look forward to serving you and other pastors on down the line through church tips. Thanks for hanging out with us today. Make it a great one, and be blessed.
Hey, Jonathan here, real quick before you go. Everything in your ministry rises and falls on your leadership. So investing in your leadership is essential to staying healthy and growing the ministry. And that's why I want to invite you to join us inside the Leaders.Church membership. This online streaming service for pastors gives you access to more than 300 videos plus training material to level up your leadership and improve your ministry skills. If you'd like to do that, I want to invite you to go to Leaders.Church/boost. Again, that's Leaders.Church/boost. Well, thanks again for joining us on the Church Tips Podcast. We'll look forward to seeing you next time.